I'd like to call this meeting of the City of St. Louis Parking Commission to order pursuant to revised Missouri State Statute 82487. Ms. Ruchik, can you please take the roll?
Commissioner Tyus, Commissioner Green,
Tanya Kenner, proxy for Comptroller Darlene Green.
Commissioner Williams,
Present.
Commissioner Freeman,
Present.
Chairman Lane.
Present. The next order of business is the approval of the minutes from 10/27/22. Wanted to note that there was a tabulation error and thus a approval error from the last minute. So I don't think that is noted in the minutes, Ms. Ruchik. So we will not vote on the approval of the minutes until we've amended them and we can vote on those amendments.
Yeah, Chairman Lane, the minutes are correct.
They are updated and correct. Okay, so they reflect that vote did not pass. Okay,
The motion passed.
all right, thank you. So since those changes have been made in the minutes, I will entertain a motion to approve the minutes from October 27, 2022.
Motion to approve minutes.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Ms. Ruchik, can you take the roll?
Commissioner Tyus, Proxy Kenner,
Aye.
Commissioner Williams,
Aye.
Commissioner Freeman,
Aye.
Chairman Lane.
Aye. All right, next order of business and last order of business is our parking consultant report and recommendations. So this is coming out of the let's say ability to meet the debt service coverage ratios and emerging from COVID. So this will be our official report plus recommendations from the consultant. So I will turn it over to Jerry to give a report.
Thanks very much. This year, as last year, because of the shortfall of revenue, we did a sort of a review of the operation and potential to raise revenue. Last year's, as you may recall, analysis focused on off-street revenue, garages, and this year's focused on on-street, the meters. So the good news is that the revenue was up dramatically this past fiscal year, in great part because of event revenue, but in every category, monthlies and dailies and meters and tickets, every category was up, and in fact the coverage ratio was very close to meeting its required. So that's the good news. And one would anticipate, given the trends, that next year's numbers will meet the coverage. But still, we looked at the off-street parking system, which includes meters, single space, multi-space, and pay-by-cell opportunities. And we gathered all the revenue and looked at it in 1 month in particular in some great detail to try to figure out which areas were providing the greatest return. Many of the meters, as you know, are somewhat outdated and are in the process of being replaced. It made the task a bit more complicated because of some difficulties that some of the meters have in reporting rather. But at any rate, so we have two sort of sets of observations and recommendations. And in general, we think that you should do the same exercise again internally once you have new technology in place and everyone is confident in the reporting of the revenue from the meters. But in general, for the physical meters, the single space and the multi-space meters, we looked at the top 20% of the meters and in terms of revenue, and suggest that there's opportunities in the surrounding areas to expand the meter zone. in areas where there are no meters at all. That's just sort of low-hanging fruit, and for the cost of a few meters or multi-space meters, you really can get a pretty good return. And similarly, at the bottom end, the bottom 20%, rather than spend, a significant amount of money to replace them with either single or multi-space meters, when they're not returning any kind of significant revenue, and are costing a fair amount to maintain every month, we suggest that some of those be eliminated, and if not entirely eliminated, if they're in neighborhoods where there really is no activity, just converted to pay by cell exclusively. Those have very little cost for pay by cell. It's only when there isn't, in fact, a transaction and the cost of a few signs. So once you're comfortable with the new numbers from the system, I think that's our major recommendation on how to proceed. Increasingly over time, we think people will migrate to pay by cell in general, and that's a better system, because from the point of view that there's very little maintenance required, and there's no cash collection, and all that goes with that, because you're paying a fairly significant amount to have the physical meters serviced and repaired and collected. So there's some details in here in the report about some ideas that we had, but we think that in general, you're better off with waiting to do anything significant until the new meters are in place. I think most of the multi-space meters are already been upgraded, and I think the IPS meter, single space meters, are in progress. So once that happens, then the system settles down. Then I think you'll have a very good idea where to add and where to subtract. So that's really the basis of this, the basics of this report. Our only other constant refrain is that we think you should keep migrating to pay by plate. It makes enforcement easier, and it enables you to ultimately integrate all forms, pay by cell, and then the multi-space and single space meters. So that should be your long-term goal, and simplify the system as much as you can into one or two different pieces of equipment rather than three, and you should be in good shape. So I can answer any questions or whatever else you'd like.
All right, thank you, Jerry. We will entertain any I'll ask Michelle, and from a finance standpoint, anything that you want to add to what Jerry presented?
No, I think he outlined it quite well. So nothing that I would add at this time.
All right, thank you. So we'll go commissioner by commissioner. We can do 2 rounds, so you don't have to feel like if you do have a question that you missed your turn, we can go back. There's not too many of us here. And just so all the commissioners know as well, we also have our CFO, Michelle Smart, if there are any additional financial questions that you all have. So we will start with Ms. Kenner.
Thank you. Mr. Salzman?
Yes.
So you mentioned you wanted to expand the meters in areas where there are none?
Correct.
What are those areas?
Well, we've identified a couple of them, and there's one, for example, on the west side of the convention center. 9th and 10th and Lucas and Convention Plaza, that area. Anybody coming to a convention can park for free there. I suspect mostly it's employees who have figured that out. And there's other areas, if you look at the, I think we have a list in here somewhere. I think it's in the report, but if not, I can get it to you. Several areas that we identified, one out by the St. Louis U, and one out in the, oh my goodness, the end of the line, the trolley line thing. But anyway, those are the areas that we think you can add. So I can get you a list if you'd like.
Okay, that'd be good.
And then, some areas, there'll be some reasons why you can't put them in and all that, but as much as you can, I think you want to have, because you can see when you go out to look at meters in the high occupancy areas, as soon you see that people logically and park at the end, beyond the last meter. Even if it's another half a block. So sometimes you have to add meters just to sort of maintain your market. And by the university, you certainly see that. It's quite stark. So you have to be ahead of them. And using pay by cell is a very good way to do that, actually, because the cost is virtually nothing to add a pay by cell zone. And so even if you're.
And Jerry, when you say by the university, you mean St. Louis University?
St. Louis University, I'm sorry, I thought I said so. Yeah, that's one area we noticed. And anyway, I can give you the list of some of the other ones as well. I'll send that over to Michelle when we're done here.
And I'll also send some questions in writing to Michelle so that we can get additional information on the debt service and meeting that requirement. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Ms. Williams?
I don't have any questions.
Okay.
Thank you for the report.
You're welcome.
Mr. Freeman?
No questions.
Okay. I don't have any questions either. So I'll reopen it to see if there are any other questions.
I
go
have-
ahead, Jerry.
I have one more. Appendix 12 in the report shows some areas where there's potential to add.
Appendix 12, thank you.
Yes. But I'll send you over some details on it.
Excellent. Okay. All right. So with that, we have our presentation report. So we want to make sure that we got that in. Ms. Ruchik, anything else that we need to do on the report or the recommendations?
No, sir.
Sounds good. Thank you. All right. So with that, thank you, Jerry, for being here. Thank you, Michelle. With that, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All right. So it's been moved by Ms. Kenner, second by Ms. Williams. Ms. Ruchik, can you take the roll?
Commissioner Tyus, Roxy Kenner,
Aye.
Commissioner Williams,
Aye.
Commissioner Freeman,
Aye.
Chairman Lane.
Aye. All right. We are adjourned. Thank you, everyone. Have a great
Thanks.
weekend.
Have a
Bye.
good one. Bye.